And then, actually, I think I won't take a break exactly. I would like in 5 minutes to talk a little bit about where you are here at the University of Chicago and the mathematics department. And then I will give you the application to pricing a euro call option. So the University of Chicago Mathematics Department, I want you to know, that you're working on a master's degree at one of the great mathematics departments of the world. So, for example, the history of the department, in the 1930s, the department went downhill. First of all, it had a chairman who was a mess, a racist. That wasn't good, and that messed things up. And then also, people, and this goes with racism. I mean, we hired our own. We had students. They graduated. We hired them on the faculty. That's fine. You can have people on the faculty who were students at the university, but you have to be very selective. You don't just say, oh, we like you. You're a student here, so sure, you can be a professor. That's not a great way to run a department. So the president of the university, Robert Maynard Hutchins, he had graduated from Yale Law School. A few months later, or maybe a year later, became the dean of the Yale Law School. And a year or two later became the president of the University of Chicago in his 20s. Very unusual. And he decided if Enrico Fermi was here in physics and James Franck, a Nobel Prize winner, was here in chemistry and so on, we better have a good math department. He telephones, he knows the Supreme Court Chief Justice of the United States, whose son at Harvard University is one of the great mathematicians, Stone, Marshall Stone. If you've heard of this, any math majors here? Okay, Stone-Weierstrass theorem, ever heard of that? No? Okay, Stone. Anyway, great mathematician. He becomes this chairman. There is a chairman, so what? Brushes him aside. New chairman, if you've ever understood, like I guess since I'm a dean I should understand. If you ever looked at the way departments are run, try sort of saying, okay, you're out, and just bring in from the outside a chairman who just that's a pretty cute trick, especially in a department that's not so great. Marshall Stone decides sometimes he'll vote and sometimes he won't vote. If he wants to appoint Professor so-and-so, he appoints him. If the faculty doesn't like it, that's sort of too bad for them. And since the president supports him completely and the dean supported him, he goes to work, appoints the greatest mathematics department in the history of mathematics. There will never be another department of mathematics like the University of Chicago Mathematics Department under Stone. We call it the Stone Age. And we still are feeling the effects of that. I don't know where Harvard, Princeton, MIT, and so on, Berkeley were at that time, because one after the other, my mathematical grandfather, Zygmunt, is appointed at that time. Calderon, his great student, appointed. André Weil, perhaps the greatest mathematician of that era. Chern in differential geometry. I mean, it was just a who's who of mathematics worldwide. And by the way, you'll notice that the names are not Smith, Jones, and so on. Chern, not exactly an American-born mathematician, Chinese, born in mainland China. André Weil, does that sound like he was born in Kansas? I don't think so. From France. So one of the key things, again, welcoming anyone who loved mathematics and did great mathematics. Not, oh, well, where were you born? What's your religion? Where not nonsense like that. That's the key to success. Okay, so now let me just pass real quickly. I have about 2 more minutes. Let me talk about today's math department. Okay, when I was chairman, it's not quite today, I was chairman of math about 10 years ago. I'm very proud of the fact that I appointed several I'm not, the son of the Supreme Court Chief Justice. I'm not, I didn't appoint people like Stone did. But I have to say I'm very proud of some of the people that I did appoint. So I'm going to tell you about 2 of them. In particular, the names are Bailenson and Drinfeld. Bailenson is what's called a university professor. So there are chaired professors, endowed chair professors. It means that someone has probably donated money and so whatever, and that gives a name, and it's after the English tradition that you literally had a chair, a T, with your name on it. You could sit in that chair, reserved for you. But now it means just an honorific thing that you're very good. So we have ordinary chaired professors, which I hope some of you will give to the Physical Sciences Division someday when you make your mint. You can endow a professorship after your name or name of someone, one of your beloved teachers who taught you review session or whatever. Or there is something called a distinguished service professorship, which is one notch higher. I am a distinguished service professor myself. And then the highest, which I will never be, is called a university professor, and you better win a Nobel Prize or what's called a Fields Medal if you want to get a university professor. So Gary Becker in the economics department, people like that. Anyway. So Bailenson is a university professor. And he was compared in a letter of recommendation by a very great mathematician to Kolmogorov, who wrote, you keep asking me about these simple functions and so on. Kolmogorov, another candidate of the greatest analyst of the 20th century. So we get a letter like that, that sort of says we're doing okay if we can get the person with a letter like that. Drinfeld could not be a university professor because there was only one per department. It was explained to me. I don't know. That was just explained at the time. Drinfeld, when he came, the competition was the Institute for Advanced Study at Princeton, where your only duty is to think about mathematics and collect your salary. It's where Einstein was. It's where von Neumann was, Gödel, and so on. Einstein certainly means something to you. The other names may not. But believe me, it's a pretty classy place. And he came to us. And one of his letters said he was a candidate for the title of the greatest algebraist of the 20th century. So we have a very good math department. We are not used to letters like that. And he's here now. I just walked on the campus with him, talked about something today before this class. So in other words, I'm saying, it's not just the Stone. I'm not saying that, I was Marshall Stone. I went and I appointed 25 of the great. But this department that you are in now is something. Let me tell you. Let me promise you that. I could go on and on. I don't have time, but I could go on for a long time discussing this department and other departments, but especially my beloved math department. I mean, there is some serious talent in the department, very serious. So that makes my job as dean very difficult, and Mr. Constantine, the chair's job, very difficult. We have to retain the talent we have, and believe me, that is not easy. Okay, very good. That's all I wanted to say. I just want you to know, I think it's good for you to know. You might as well know because you're very selective. For you to get here, it wasn't easy. This course that I'm giving here is not easy. And you're not going to have, it's not sliding down the slide as you do this program. But a little bit of compensation, first of all, it's great to learn. That's what you're here to do. And second of all, you are at one of the great world centers of the subject of mathematics. There's no question about it at all. Okay, now let us go to options. So can you remind me what a European option is?